They proceeded without inquiry, and I made no move to intervene. Not out of desire, but from the absence of alternatives. As I finally raised my gaze, I found my husband still present, still observing, still enveloped in silence. And in that moment, when my voice finally cracked, when I cried out unbidden, I understood that what had fractured within me was not solely my own, but something that belonged to both of us. Allow me to introduce myself. I am known as Eliza. At 38, I find myself reflecting on how I never imagined I would be the type of woman to embrace an opportunity like this. I was raised in a quaint little town just outside Elmsworth, Oregon, a place where familiarity reigns and your surname lingers in the air like an ever-present shadow. My husband, Nathan, once held the title of the Golden Boy in our high school. He repaired trucks, played football, and wore a smile that suggested he had unraveled the mysteries of the universe. We tied the knot in our youth. Honestly, still a bit too young. Yet in those days, we believed that love held the power to conquer all obstacles. Affection, coupled with a respectable nest egg. Yet, affection alone cannot settle the burdens of a mortgage. Layoffs persist relentlessly, and it certainly doesn't cause the electric company to delay for an additional month simply because you faced a challenging year. When the clinic where I was employed shut its doors, I began to seek out various odd jobs, dog walking, cleaning cabins, anything I could discover that wouldn't necessitate a resume more substantial than my winter coat. Nathan made his attempts as well, yet with each passing week, it seemed as though another part of the car faltered, the water heater failed, and my belief in our relationship wavered. Our conversations shifted from the tender exchanges of lovers to the sterile dialogue of business associates, yet the enterprise was crumbling, and we both wore masks of denial. It caught me off guard, that instant when everything shifts, not with a thunderous bang, but with a soft murmur. Nathan returned home late one evening, subdued and weary, as if a decade of life had been etched onto his face in a single day. "There's a way," he murmured, his gaze averted from mine. "A path to what, exactly?" I inquired. "To maintain possession of the home." And in that moment, the world unfurled before us. The proposal did not originate from a mere advertisement or a dubious website. It originated from an acquaintance of ours, a former spouse of Nathan's, known as Damon Ashford. Damon hailed from a place far removed from Elmsworth. He resided 2 hours north in a ski town known as Whitefish, managed several rental properties, cruised around in a matte black pickup, and donned cologne as if he were still seeking to captivate someone. 10 years prior, he and Nathan had embarked on the same welding program together, yet Damon had chosen a distinctly different route. A more abundant one. By a twist of fate, they found themselves reunited at a gas station in Helena. Damon observed the state of Nathan's hands, cracked, raw, and weary, and inquired about how life was treating him. Nathan, with a hint of laughter, remarked, firmly, "Just like everyone else." "I suppose." Damon remained silent, offering no laughter in return. He simply inquired, "Do you require assistance?" Thus began the journey. Initially, Nathan described it as merely a side endeavor, a simple way to earn some extra cash, a discreet assignment. I imagined he might be sifting through storage units, perhaps taking on some freelance mechanic jobs. Yet, his gaze betrayed the sincerity of his speech. I recognized that expression: guilt, fear, hesitation. One evening, following dinner, I took the initiative. "What precisely does this job entail?" He clasped his hands, a silent gesture that spoke volumes. After a lengthy silence, he finally spoke, declaring, "It's not for me. This is meant for you." I blinked. "What are you trying to convey?" He rose to his feet and began to pace back and forth. Damon operates a unique enterprise, one that thrives on privacy and discretion, devoid of cameras and recordings, relying solely on face-to-face arrangements. On a single night, a substantial amount of money. I chuckled, a brief, chilling echo. "Surely, you jest." He remained expressionless, showing no sign of reaction. "We are submerged, Eliza." I remained still, my heart racing, grappling with the unspoken words that lingered in the air between us. "Are you suggesting that I should share a bed with someone?" "Not a person," he stated. 2. I recall the sensation of the ground shifting beneath my feet. "And you would be present? Would you be inclined to watch?" He nodded, with deliberate slowness. "It's an integral aspect of the arrangement." I rose from my seat, made my way to the window, and gazed at the mountains that had been a part of my life for as long as I could remember. The world appeared unchanged, yet a fissure had formed within me. That night, we neither uttered a yes nor a no. In that silence, a long, aching, unspoken void emerged, marking the inception of the choice we were too desperate to avoid. The day arrived more swiftly than I had anticipated. The journey to Whitefish unfolded in quietude. Nathan refrained from taking my hand, yet his eyes flickered toward me, betraying a hint of uncertainty as if he feared I might reconsider at the very last moment. The residence was contemporary, nestled among the pines, a composition of glass and steel, offering a glimpse of the icy lake. Damon welcomed us at the entrance, his smile stretching a bit too broadly, clad in a navy button-down and that cologne I had always found off-putting. He remained silent, merely gesturing towards the room above. Within? The room resembled a luxurious hotel suite, bathed in soft lighting, with a neatly turned-down bed and a small bottle of whiskey resting on the side table. I was the first to step inside. Nathan trailed behind, eventually settling into the armchair nestled in the corner, his hands rhythmically clenching and unclenching. I lingered beside the bed, adorned in the dress that Damon had sent me just last week, form-fitting, dark, braless. He had dispatched it wrapped in tissue paper, as if it were something fragile rather than tactical. At precisely 8, a knock echoed through the stillness of the room. I cast a final glance at Nathan. He nodded, deliberately and with measured grace. The door creaked open, revealing what lay beyond. As Damon had depicted, 2 men entered the room. One appeared to be in his mid-50s, with silver hair that hinted at wisdom, yet his athletic build suggested vitality. He donned a crisp white shirt paired with dark jeans, exuding a polished yet casual demeanor. The other individual appeared to be around my age, slender in build, eyes that pierced with intensity, adorned with a tattoo on his forearm. Silence enveloped them, each lost in their own thoughts. There was no necessity for them to do so. They merely gazed at me, as if I were not a wife to anyone, but rather an object they had claimed. In that chilling, suspended instant, I found myself devoid of any sense of insignificance. A surge of power coursed through me. The younger one advanced, his fingers lightly brushing against my collarbone, as he lifted the strap of my dress, gauging my response with a subtle intensity. I remained utterly still, my breath held tight within me. In the dim light of the room, Nathan remained ensconced in the corner, a silent observer, his gaze fixed intently on the unfolding scene. In that moment, silence enveloped the air as the strap fell away, unceremoniously relinquishing its hold. So did the rest. The dress cascaded down as if it had long anticipated its descent, gathering softly at my feet. I caught the sound of Nathan drawing in a breath. I heard it, though not with great volume. They glided with an air of assurance, not confrontational, but skillfully refined. The younger one positioned himself behind me, his hands firm yet gentle at my waist, leading me toward the bed. The elder unfastened his shirt as he trailed behind, and I simply released my grip. I ascended onto the bed as if it were my rightful place, as though I had performed this act countless times before. Hands roamed freely, one anchoring me to the earth, the other elevating, twisting, and expanding my very essence. Silence enveloped us, filled only with the rhythm of breath and the palpable heat, a tension so intense it resonated deep within my very bones. One shifted beneath me, while the other lingered behind. My knees quaked with uncertainty. My breath surged in rhythmic waves, yet I pressed on undeterred. I did not inquire. I found it unnecessary. They occupied every void, every pain I had concealed, and when I finally let out a sound, not a whisper, not a gasp, but something raw and fractured, I beheld Nathan's face. Neither disgust nor jealousy, merely a sense of awe. Perhaps, for the very first time, there is a sense of understanding. If you're still here, and your heart is racing just as mine was in this moment, remember to hit that super chat or super sticker. Your support ensures that narratives like this remain authentic, sincere, and courageous. Let us continue onward. I broke apart 2 more times before they finished. Once I found myself on my back, hands restrained. Once more, one man stands behind me while another is positioned in front. Their cadence precise and unwavering. I was genuine in my actions. I was not obliged to. What astonished me most wasn't the depth of my feelings, but the intensity of my desire for it. Not the deed, the decision. The strength. The duration escapes my memory, yet I recall vividly that when it concluded, my legs felt utterly spent. My chest felt as if a tempest had swept through, leaving nothing but emptiness in its wake. The men donned their attire with haste, devoid of any formality. Absent were lingering glances or farewells. The elder inclined his head slightly in Nathan's direction before he swung the door open. The younger one trailed silently behind. The door clicked into place, sealing their departure. The stillness that followed resonated more profoundly than any sound I had uttered. I lingered on the bed, the sheet casually cascading over my hip. Nathan remained ensconced in the armchair, yet an unmistakable change lingered in the air. He appeared transformed, neither shattered nor filled with rage, merely subdued. I rose gradually, feeling the damp strands of hair clinging to the nape of my neck, my skin warm and tingling with sensitivity. My body felt foreign to me, not in a negative sense, but rather in a way that was still unfamiliar. At last, he rose to his feet, traversed the space between us, and settled down beside me. We remained untouched. He gazed at me, his eyes probing deeply. "I didn't expect that," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. A chuckle escaped my lips. It shattered, a single fracture appearing in its center. "I feel the same way." We lingered in close proximity, our shoulders brushing against one another. The couple remains, yet they are transformed. After a prolonged silence, he inquired, "Did it prove beneficial?" I contemplated weaving a tale, perhaps something lyrical, yet fatigue held me back. "I am still uncertain." He nodded, as if that held any clarity. In quietude, we cleansed ourselves, gathered our belongings, and departed the room with the same meticulousness we had encountered it. As we journeyed back to Missoula, his hand enveloped mine, and in that moment, after what felt like an eternity, the distance between us faded, and we were no longer mere passengers in the same vehicle. We never broached the subject, neither in the confines of the car nor upon our return home, nor even during the long, silent days that ensued. Yet it lingered on. It lingered there, quiet yet unmistakable, much like the way Nathan would halt in the midst of his tasks. As if echoes reverberated within his mind. Not mere words, nor fleeting thoughts, but sounds that lingered in his mind, impossible to escape. 3 nights later, I mustered the courage to ask, "Do you regret it?" My voice hovered just above a whisper, as if any louder sound could disturb a slumbering presence, one we were not prepared to confront. He hesitated before responding. Instead, he shifted his gaze toward me. His eyes had shed their anger and despair, revealing only a weariness that spoke the truth. "I regret the necessity of it," he said, "but I do not regret having seen you." That line pierced me like a tiny needle beneath my skin. Not painful, merely sharp enough to rouse my senses. "Are you observing me?" I inquired. He inclined his head with deliberation. "You were vibrant, and it's been ages since I witnessed you like that, not since before it all changed." In that moment, I found myself at a loss for emotions. Revealed, sought after, absolved? Perhaps everything, perhaps none of it at all. Perhaps a creation that is completely original. As the evening wore on and I found myself slicing apples in the kitchen, he approached me from behind. Silence reigns, passion fades, intimacy eludes. He encircled me with his arms from behind, leaned his forehead against my shoulder, and let out a breath as if he had been holding it for an eternity. Perhaps, he murmured softly, we needed to reach the depths to understand how to rise once more. I gave a slight nod. Perhaps. Perhaps that was precisely what it was. We remained unaltered. We were far from flawless. A single night could not undo the harm that had been done. For the first time in ages, we had shed the facade. Indeed, that was quite remarkable. That was sufficient to begin speaking the truth once more. At times, it is not the act that shatters us, but rather the profound silence that ensues. The instant you find yourself nestled beside a cherished soul. Two souls inhaling the same air, yet words remain unspoken between them, feigning normalcy in the face of undeniable turmoil. Each of us possesses our own limits. In the crucible of survival, where desperation looms large, individuals respond in myriad ways. Some turn to prayer, others flee, while a few embrace the unexpected, saying yes to possibilities they never envisioned. Yet, consent extracted under duress does not equate to true freedom. Rather, it embodies survival cloaked in subdued acquiescence. If this narrative stirred a sense of conflict within you, that is perfectly understandable. It was destined to be, for not all things can be neatly categorized as good or bad. Reality often appears indistinct. The complexities of marriage can often lead to chaos. Individuals fracture in peculiar manners. At times, the journey of healing manifests as a challenging dialogue in the kitchen, rather than a flawless fairy tale ending. Thank you for journeying with me to this point. I truly mean it. These narratives are challenging to convey, and undoubtedly difficult to absorb. Yet, they exist. If this resonates with you, feel free to leave a comment. Express your emotions. I immerse myself in the words of all. They hold significance. If you appreciate this kind of authentic and unfiltered storytelling, think about sending a super chat or super sticker to show your support. Its impact is greater than you might realize. It maintains the illumination. Truly. Stories such as this transcend mere shock value. They revolve around contemplation. In contemplating our choices, we find ourselves pondering, what actions would I have taken? And, perhaps most crucially, what is it that I would never wish to become? Thank you for tuning in. And no matter where you find yourself on your path, I encourage you to embrace honesty, even in the face of difficulty.